Welcome back to Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera, and this is Play and Trade Guitars, where we play it and trade it. I'm going to tell you about a really funky, cool retro guitar from Epiphone that represents an incredibly good value, and that is the Epiphone SG Standard 60s with a Maestro Vibrola. That's right, the Vibrola was the first attempt at Gibson creating a vibro, or a tremolo arm system. And it really has a distinct kind of funky vintage retro character that I think is really cool. Really great deal. We have one in Olive Drab, which is really cool. If you're in the market for this guitar, you can click to buy any gear using our link, and it really does support our channel. On top of that, you get fast free shipping and really easy payment plans that make it a snap to get new gear. And I'm also going to be putting this guitar on the bench, taking it apart, talking full specs before I plug it in and play it. And drop a comment as we go, and remember to stay tuned to the end because I'll give you a final score on this guitar, and I'll also give you my kind of raw and honest feedback on if this guitar is worth your money. So without further ado, let's get to work on the Epiphone SG Standard 60s Maestro Vibrola. So this SG is modeled on the first year 1961 SG. That's the year that the Les Paul had been discontinued and redesigned to look like what we now call the SG. This is from the Inspired by Gibson collection over at Epiphone. So you have very similar open book headstock to Gibson. You have the acrylic Epiphone crown. I love these Clusen style Epiphone Deluxe double line tuners. They look really sharp. The neck itself, being that it's a 61 SG, we're gonna have a slim taper, slim neck. I love on an SG, you have access all the way up to the upper register, not only with a double cutaway, but the fact that basically the fretboard meets the body all the way up at the top fret. So it gives you really unencumbered access all the way up here to the highest register, which is really nice. Nickel covered ProBucker 2 and 3 humbuckers. These sound really good. We've played them many times before. I'm always impressed. ABR1 style bridge, and then you can see how the strings sit in the actual Maestro Vibrola tailpiece. And this is a little extra pocket for hiding picks or anything else you might need to hide underneath the body. I like Indian Laurel. It feels closest to Rosewood, in my opinion, on a more budget level guitar. This one's a little dry, so I'm just going to use a little Diodario Hydrate to bring that back to life. Measurements on the slim taper neck, 1.68 inches at the nut, 0.81 inches at the first, up to 0.86 inches at the 12th. Another characteristic about SGs and the body is it's just a slab of mahogany. So they'll typically be a lot thinner. This one's at 1.46 inches. Great pickups. I'm really impressed by the Epiphone ProBuckers. We'll flip these up and we'll see an Epiphone ProBucker 3 in bridge and a ProBucker 2 in neck. And SG is always going to have a longer neck tenon because they've got that long neck connected all the way up here at the top fret to the body, so it needs a little bit of extra reinforcement to make all that work. You can get a look at the routes, but again, just a solid mahogany body, which you can get a look at a little bit of the raw mahogany popping out there. Then this whole guitar will be finished in a gloss poly. Standard no-nonsense controls. You got your three-way toggle, volume, volume, tone, tone. Go ahead and flip on the multimeter and get a reading on these humbuckers. We're at 8.2 in bridge, 7.6 in neck, 3.9 combined. These are PAF style humbuckers. So with any electric guitar, two of the most important points for tone on the guitar itself with strings under tension are going to be the anchor points on either side, right? So we have the nut, which is suspending the strings at a fixed point here, passes over the bridge, and then there's something to my ear about the way a Vibrola adds brightness to the sound, given that we have the Vibrola deck here, which is actually fixed on the Epiphone model. This does not slide in either direction. But something about the strings sitting into this big hunk of metal right here, to me, just gives a bright sound. It's almost like you even have a little resonance chamber created by the lyre tailpiece here. And you can just hear it even before we go there for the initial reaction. It has kind of just that metallic resonance that is really a distinct and characteristic tone of a Vibrola. I can only describe it as metallic in a cool way, and you'll hear it when we plug in soon, what that does to the tone. But it really is pretty cool when you hear it, and it has a lot to do with the way the strings are attached directly to this Maestro Vibrola tailpiece. Lifting up the control cavity cover, everything is hand wired for the most part under here. 500K pots, CTS pots, which are a nice upgrade, and then looks pretty clean under the hood. The two notoriously weak links in Epiphone electronics to me are the output jack and the toggle switch. These are really worth upgrading with CTS components. I wish they would ship them from the factory that way after giving you the upgraded pots. I wish they'd give you the upgraded switch and output jack, but I would recommend that if you have any trouble with it. Usually that's kind of the Achilles heel, is that toggle switch or that output jack. One great feature of an SG is it's nice and light. Let's see where this one comes in. 7 pounds, 11 ounces, so we'll call it just under 7 3/4 pounds. The Maestro Vibrola will add a little bit of weight, and actually originally the SG was designed to have a Maestro tailpiece, which kind of counteracted the weight of the headstock. And so if you've ever heard them say that an SG can have neck dive, that's actually greatly exaggerated. But part of that is because in the original days of designing the SG, the Vibrola was kind of this hunk of metal that counteracted the weight of the headstock up top. It makes sense when you think about it though. That's kind of the counterbalance to the headstock that solves the neck dive issue, which again is greatly exaggerated on SGs. Flipping the guitar around for that initial playthrough, I'll tell you that the construction on this one, there's no sharp fret edges. I can tell you the frets are a little rough themselves, but as I tune it up, I don't really notice any playability issues. The construction of the guitar overall is actually very good. I haven't really encountered a single problem with this whatsoever, not even cosmetic. So let's see how it sounds. Shit. All right, well, look at that, it actually ripped off.
Oh wow, the string just came apart.
The bottom curl. All right, the guitar is restrung. I like the brightness that comes from the Vibrola. If you're in the market for this guitar, remember to buy using our link. It really does help us. Now we're going to plug this guitar in. I'll give you clean tones. We'll dirty it up, and of course, we'll put it behind a track. Remember to stay tuned till the end. I'll give you my final score and raw reaction, and I hope you'll drop a comment as we go. Let me know if this guitar is right for you or what you think about the SG Standard 60s Maestro Vibrola from Epiphone. Let's plug it in and get to work. right, for $599, it's hard to beat the add-on feature of the Maestro Vibrola at this price. And you stuck with me to the end, so I'm gonna give you my final score. When I give a final score on a guitar, I base it on 3 categories: overall playability, overall sound, and overall value. I think value, it's no surprise, is gonna have high marks, because for $599, how can you beat it, right? If you want the Vibrola sound, and it is a distinct sound, this is a great way to add a guitar like this to your collection. Let's start with playability though. I do like the slim taper neck. I thought the construction, overall, everything felt good in terms of playing. I will tell you, you probably don't want to take a Vibrola guitar to a gig, because tuning is rough. And this bar, I will tell you right now, it sticks out really far, like a really long fingernail or something. And if I was to hold this bar, it would actually put my picking position up above the neck pickup, which is pretty high. And I'll just tell you that it's a little cumbersome. It looks cool. Probably if I had a guitar like this, it would be primarily for like studio use, to get kind of that extra sound of just that real cool. Just that kind of extra kind of ghosty vibrato, very 60s sounding. But at the end of the day, it is cool, and it is cool that you can get it for $599. Putting the Vibrola aside for a second and just talking about the SGs that Epiphone is making, I really like the Epiphone ProBuckers. I think the pickups sound amazing. This was an incredibly playable guitar. It is a little heavier for an SG, particularly because it has the extra hardware. But I love the cosmetic appointments. I love the small guard 1961 style SG. These exclusive style tuners look fantastic. Everything about the guitar is as it should be. It's just that you've got to like the flavor of the Maestro Vibrola itself. So playability, I'm going to detract points really because of the Maestro Vibrola itself, so just kind of temper that in your mind. Sound, I'm going to give it very high marks in terms of the pickups, and then I'm also going to give it high marks in the sense that only this guitar can do this because it has a Maestro Vibrola. The only other Epiphone I can think of that has one is the Joe Bonamassa 335. So it's pretty much the only Epiphone that you can get that has the Vibrola, and I think that that's pretty cool. And then of course, when we come to value, for $599, you will need to get yourself a hard shell case. It doesn't come with any kind of case, but it's hard to fault them at this price point. There's the Epiphone SG Standard, which is $499. This is $599 with the Maestro Vibrola. And then there's other options out there. A really good value to check out would be the Epiphone 1961 SG. That's a collaboration between the Custom Shop and Epiphone, and it also sports American burst buckers and a hard shell case. That is now $949, but if you want kind of a mid-price SG with this cool Vibrola feature, $599 is hard to beat too. I'm gonna give this guitar an overall score of 8.0. I give it probably a 7 in playability, I'd give it a 9 in value, and I would give it an 8 in overall sound. So we'll put it somewhere right around 8 on the nose. And I did really enjoy playing this guitar. You just have to be really prepared to wrestle the Maestro Vibrola in terms of tuning stability. And I probably wouldn't take it to a gig, but I'd love to have one around the house, use it in the studio and jam with it, because it is a lot of fun and it's hard to turn it away at this price. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of the Epiphone SG Standard Maestro Vibrola. If you're gonna buy this guitar or any other gear, remember to click to buy gear using our link, because it does support us and I really appreciate that. Click on one of these links to watch our next video demo, drop a comment, make sure you're subscribed, and sign up for our Gleam giveaway. We're giving away a Gibson Les Paul Deluxe Gold Top. Thanks for hanging out on Play and Trade Guitars.